To order.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on February 16, 2024. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards and the Township website.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Feynman.
Here.
Councilwoman Travers.
Here.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Here.
President Menachino.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can we rise to salute the flag in a moment of silence, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, you accept the reports from the officers?
Of course.
Thank you. I need a motion and a second to approve the minutes for December 10th meeting, please.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. This brings us to our consent agenda.
I'm going to take a roll.
Oh,
Good
sorry.
idea.
That's okay. Councilman Albanese.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. That's why you're here.
Yep.
This brings
Glad
us,
to be here.
this brings us to our consent agenda.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. 4-1.
Authorized budget transfer.
This resolution authorizes a budget appropriation transfer as needed for year end. These transfers do not increase our overall municipal budget in any way. We are moving funds from one account to another. 4-2.
Authorized transfer into dedicated trust funds.
This resolution authorizes a transfer of $700,000 into a dedicated account for accumulated absence liabilities and $22,200 into a dedicated account for animal control for a total authorized transfer of $722,200. 4-3, please.
Authorized member participation in National Cooperative OMNIA Partners.
This resolution authorizes members' participation in the Omnia Partner National Cooperative to purchase goods and or services to make the procurement process more efficient and to provide cost savings to the township. 4-4, please.
Authorized shared services agreement with the Borough of Manahawkin for code enforcement and zoning officer services.
This resolution authorizes the renewal of a shared service agreement with the Borough of Manahawkin for the code enforcement and zoning services. The township will be reimbursed for the time spent by staff providing these services. 4-5.
Authorized change order number 1, roadway improvements to isolated roads.
This resolution authorizes a closeout change order number 1 in the contract with Fiore Paving's Oceanport for the roadway improvements to isolate roads projects. These change order reflects a $47,839.99 decrease in the contract as a result of a final as-built quantities. Thank you. 4-6.
4.6A is a performance bond release for Block 109.11, Lot 1. B is an inspection fund release for Block 383, Lot 8. And C is an inspection fund release for Block 827, Lot 31.
Thank you. 4-7.
7A is 100% DAV widow or veteran at Block 701.04, Lot 12. 7B is 100% DAV widow or veteran for Block 1068.112, Lot 9.
Thank you. 4-8.
Authorized side letter agreement to the redevelopment agreement with Brick Standard LLC.
Thank you. Council Vice President Ambrosino.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes a side letter agreement to the original redevelopment agreement with Brick Standard, the developer of the solar farm on Sally Ike Road. As part of that redeveloper agreement, RWE, also known as Con Ed, was a third-party supplier who sold the energy back to the grid and then reimbursed the township for our portion of the sold energy. RWE is ceasing operations to the wholesale energy market effective December 31st. Brick Standard has a relationship with its own third-party supplier, DTE Energy Trading. In this agreement, DTE will be the third-party supplier who will directly deposit those funds into a bank account the township establishes to accept those payments. They are proposing the same purchase price per kilowatt hour, and the agreement specifies no additional cost increases to the township. Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to the end of our consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Motion. Second.
Thank you. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions on the resolutions only. Seeing none, thank you. Close public. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to our computer bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $922,294.71.
Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions on the bill resolutions. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese. Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to our manual bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $2,519,551.04.
Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public for questions on the manual bill resolution only. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this brings us to our 5 ordinance on second reading.
An ordinance of the Township of Brick, County of Ocean, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 98 to establish various regulations applicable to the keeping and housing of pigeons and pigeon-like birds.
Thank you. Councilwoman Travers, please.
Thank you, Council President. The Council's Land Use Committee is recommending this ordinance amendment as requested by Code Enforcement. The current Township Code does not specifically address pigeons. Therefore, Chapter 98 of the Township Code is being amended to include the following changes. 1. Define pigeons and doves based upon biological order, known as columbiforms. 2. Limit the number of pigeons and doves to 25 birds. And 3. Locates pigeon coops and enclosures no less than 25 feet from any dwelling. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Open to public. Seeing none, close public. Roll call.
Councilman Albanese. Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Feynman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Travers.
Yes.
Vice President Ambrosino.
Yes.
President Menachino.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this brings us to our public comments, please.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Thank you. Anyone from public, please? Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Charlie Bacon. I live at 366 Rancocas Drive. Happy holidays to the mayor, council, administration. I have some questions concerning the trailer ordinance that was discussed at the December 10th meeting. Disclaimer, I was not at this meeting. So my comments are based on either things I saw at the shore beat or comments that I heard. December 10th was an interesting day for me because my phone started blowing up about trailers. And then I started reviewing the ordinance a little bit before the meeting and kind of looked at some of the legal stuff that was in it. Not that I'm an attorney, nor do I pretend to be one. One concern I had was the open trailer definition. That was seriously flawed. There's a high percentage of people in this town that have trailers that exceed 20 feet, or it might be dual axle. So I'm not quite sure why that language was put in there, considering we're one of the largest waterfront communities in the state of New Jersey. The closed trailer ban, which is where I think this ordinance was intended to be, although I'm not sure because I wasn't at the meeting, would hurt business owners, people that are storing antique cars, personal watercraft, or motorcycles. I'm assuming most likely a complaint was filed by a resident on this and not through code enforcement. So I think it originated through a resident. There's many things that are in violations of code around here, and I have no problem addressing some of them at another meeting. So, these are questions. I have a series of questions. Mr. Starkey's not present in this room. These questions are things that were either quoted, directly said by you, Council President, implications maybe of the BA, I'm not sure, or Mr. Starkey. My first question, did either party on the side of this complaint have legal representation? Next thing is a quote out of Shore Beat. "We're not revisiting it," said Council President Vince. "It's off, it's not going to come back on." That was, I think, addressed right in the front of the meeting. What was the resolution of that dispute? Obviously, there was some resolution because there's a dispute. I'd like to hear that. Township Attorney Kevin Starkey said in a draft document made its way to the agenda and it was mistakenly. My understanding is that anything that hits this agenda goes through the Council President, the BA, and potentially the attorney, especially on something that's an ordinance related. I would think the legal is probably on there before anything gets moved on to an agenda. Could be wrong on that. You can clarify that for me. Mayor, this question's directed to you. Did you see this ordinance before it was on the agenda? "We thought we understood things that needed to be done here," he said. "We drafted an ordinance that came in late and it got put on the agenda. It's not something that was warranted. It's not something that was needed." Well, my first question on that, well, I'll actually address the other quote later on in the article. There was a misunderstanding with our township attorney on this ordinance and it was not thoroughly discussed or reviewed. That's what you said, Council President. So my first curiosity on the timing of this was December 12th. First reading. Cannot be addressed in that meeting unless we bring it through the public comments. If that was left on the docket for that night, this would have been the meeting to approve it. I find that kind of intriguing. On a meeting, I believe it's Friday, 10 o'clock, December 27th, when most people, like myself, have to work. I'm not sure why the ordinance couldn't have been rolled out if it wasn't ready. That's perplexing to me in 2025. So the only conclusion I could draw for that comment is it's a campaign year and you didn't want it in 2025. So in closing, this is not the first time I've questioned ordinances up here, nor do I think it's going to be the last either. The township should get a credit for the legal costs associated with this ordinance. If it truly has flaws in it, which I just addressed, wasn't ready for prime time, I don't think the taxpayer should pay it. Second part of that, if any residents have any legal costs questioning this ordinance, they should be reimbursed. And perfect timing on my part. I hope everyone has a happy and safe New Year. Thank you very much for letting me speak tonight.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from public, please? Yes, sir.
Art Hasselback, 28 West Campanile Drive. I too had concerns with Mr. Bacon had regarding that ordinance and how it was handled, and I expressed my opinion at the last meeting. I have two other issues in the town that I think should be looked at in 2025. One is street lighting. I mentioned this in the past. The lighting on a lot of the roads, especially where I live, is very inadequate, and that high pressure sodium is garbage. It's old technology that should be replaced by LED lights, and I understand the electric company probably doesn't want to spend the money, but we're paying for the electric on those lights, and you don't get the amount of lighting out of those things as you would from an LED for 1/10 the cost of the electric. And with the increase in crime all around areas and cars being stolen and breaking in houses and so on, I think that ought to be looked into as a safety factor for the township. The other issue I have is I've had a piece of property here off of St. Lawrence for over 20 years. There's a portion of the road on St. Lawrence that's been patched for the 20 years. It has never been fixed properly. And there's a lot of holes on that road and nothing ever gets done about it. Now I can tell you, as an engineer myself, I know what the problem is. The road is built on peat underneath, and it undulates and it's soft, and it's never been addressed. It's got to be dug up, and it's got to put new stabilized base and base under there and stone and everything to correct that, because you can keep putting blacktop on top of it forever, and it's not going to correct it. And the road has been terrible, and it's been 20 years, and I wonder why nobody even cares about it. And we pay enough taxes, I think, out there on off St. Lawrence and out towards the bay, that we should get some kind of results from the township. And even prior to that, on Mandalay, the road is not great, and it needs to be repaired. And there's spots there where water lays all the time. Now, if that was a public person that did that, the town would be out there fining them for not taking care of the runoff and the drainage. But this is done by the township, and the township should look into it, because they should be responsible for that, because when it gets cold, it freezes up. And I think the township engineer ought to look at that, and also the lighting, because it's very inadequate, especially given the crime that we have, crime in the areas. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from public, please? Seeing none, close public. Mrs. Bergen.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Mayor?
Just Happy New Year, and looking forward to 2025, where Brick will be celebrating its 175th birthday, and we're looking forward to celebrating that with the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Keneally?
Just Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk?
Nothing, thank you.
Madam Secretary?
Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you. Councilman Albanese?
Nothing.
Councilwoman Pontarera?
Just Happy New Year, and everyone, please be safe, especially driving at night. We know how people like to celebrate on New Year's Eve. Please remember, it's not worth any amount of alcohol, not worth it to endanger the lives of yourself and the other people on the roadway. My son, for the first time, is a new licensed driver. Please, everyone, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman DeYoung?
Just Happy New Year.
Councilman Feynman?
Happy and healthy New Year. Stay safe and have fun. Thank you.
Councilwoman Travers?
Happy New Year.
Council Vice President Ambrosino?
Happy New Year.
And myself also, Happy New Year to everybody. Please be safe. Our next meeting will be January 7th, 2025 at 7 p.m. here. Can I get a motion and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Aye.
Aye, all in favor, yeah. Aye. Thank you.